It was 17 years ago that I made the huge decision to move from Canada, from my home and my family, here to India. Christo and I, we were married in Canada, but we knew that God was calling us to serve Him full time in ministry and to plant a church here. So just the two of us, without any support or any backing, just what we had in our hands, we moved to a southern city called Chennai. And we landed here in his parents' home in this very place that we're sitting.
And this is where everything started. Right in the living room of my parents' apartment that is in a 10-foot alleyway. Every week we would go to people and invite them to come here for a Sunday evening experience. We would move aside all the furniture from this living room and we would be ready waiting for the people. But you know what? Less than a handful of people would come every weekend to listen to what we have to say. It was a sad experience for us. But we kept trusting God and pressing in. Slowly, people started to come. God gave us 3, 5, and 15 people in this very living room. And once this was full, we moved to the rooftop. With every money we got from our wedding as a gift from friends and family, we put all of that together. We put a shelter and we continued to pastor the people God gave us. He gave us 50 people on the rooftop room. From there, we were able to install a thin metal shelter where the church grew to 100 plus people. It was at that very moment we decided we could no longer function in this 10-foot alleyway. We need to move out there and make an impact in this city, a city of about 9 million people. But we don't know how. God gave us a faith to trust Him to hire a rental facility right in the heart of the city of Chennai. But it came with a $6,000 rent every single month. We didn't know how we're gonna do this, but we knew one thing, that God was behind this and He was calling us to go and take that building and run the ministry.
You know, when you speak about Chennai, it's a massive city, and Jesus said, just lift up your eyes, the fields are white for harvest. That's exactly what I think of this place. And I think about the number of children are here, and God has built the entire ministry of what we do here in Chennai upon kids. I remember when Christo was doing the early day services here in this room that I'd be outside under a blue tarp in the hot Indian sun with a handful of kids surrounding me, teaching them about the Lord. And the amazing thing is, kids were always willing and ready to come. You know, it just didn't stay a handful. They just kept coming and coming and coming. And pretty soon we had to move up to the rooftop with them. The thing is, they just came from all over. They came from neighboring houses and from the slums, from every kind of home. With the passion that we had for kids, we decided that every year we were going to run a kids camp in this community for 7 days to teach them about Jesus, about the Bible. And so we'd give out thousands of handbills and just call them in. And they came. They came from everywhere. And our first kids camp was packed. That room upstairs, we had about 50 to 80 kids. Year after year, when we conducted kids camp, it just grew and grew and grew, from 50 to a couple of hundred to 300 to 400. And now in the past few years, we have had 1,000 children under one roof hearing about Jesus for 7 whole days. So it's been an amazing part of the ministry. As time went on, we encountered troubles and trials. In 2015, the whole city faced a devastating flood. The ones that were the most affected were the kids, especially in the slums. And it's the slums where you find the least reached and the most vulnerable. Many of those slums we would send buses to bring the kids in to join our weekly kids club here in the church. So, as the flood was going on in the city, our own house was flooded. We were trying to evacuate. We knew that we had to reach our kids in those slums. So together as a church, we put together these massive metal boxes. We called them New Beginning boxes with, different household items and clothing and food, everything that somebody would need. There was one slum that the river had washed everything away. They just had the clothing on their back. So we took those boxes and we gave them to each of those families that were connected to us through the kids ministry. It was amazing because it caught the attention of the city. On the nightly news, we saw clips of these people being evacuated from their homes, and they were carrying these massive boxes with everything they had left. And on the side was our Living God Church sticker. The city put them in one area called Kaniginagar. And there, 25,000 families and 100,000 people, many of them kids, they are now situated. What an opportunity for us. Every week, we send a team in there twice a week to teach these children, to share about Christ, teaching obviously about the Bible, morals, about hygiene. And the parents, they come to us and they say, our kids, they have changed since they started coming to your program. Would you do more? So it is an exciting field of harvest that we have here in the slums of Chennai and with children.
In the meantime, the church grew in that rental facility. We learned a lot. We faced challenges every month, paying that $6,000 rent and other bills. But God helped us through that place. We knew as the church was outgrowing the place that our season there was coming to an end. As we prayed, we believed and we understood that we need our own facility in order to fulfill every dream and vision the Lord has given us for this nation. It was at that moment the Lord opened us a door and He helped us purchase this very apartment from my parents, and also 2 more apartments that is very close to this one. Altogether, 3 apartments was purchased with the help of a loan from PAOC of about $1.2 million. After this, it was our responsibility to raise a facility. We shared the vision to the local people that attended the church. We all came together, and the people of this church came alongside. They sold everything precious that they had, their jewels and other things, and gave sacrificial, generous seed offering. And also, remember the $6,000 rent? We were able to turn that towards the renovation work that started here. Many people who could not give huge sum of money decided to come and give their hands to the work of God. They came and they started to break down walls that wasn't needed. They started to take big chunk of earth from the ground to lay foundation work. Others carried heavy beams and pillars with their hands and built this church. When we needed insulation in our worship auditorium, people decided to put all of that stuff all around the wall. There were people taking turns day and night, staying here, looking after the safety of all the construction materials. This is how the Lord helped us build this place. My friends, look what the Lord has done. We have 4 different floors renovated in this place where there was 3 old apartments. On the first floor, we have about 150 kids that are able to gather every weekend, and also multiple kids ministry happening throughout the week. And the next floor has School of Ministry, where many young people come and they receive training and discipleship and other leadership insight, so that one day they can become leaders of this nation. And after that, on the 3rd floor, we were able to host our office and our other media department space. And on the very top floor, a glorious sanctuary is being built there. Recently, in our New Year service, we saw about 500 people pack that auditorium and worship Jesus. It was at that very moment I felt every sacrifice, every tears, prayer, fasting, sweat, and blood was totally worth it when people start to come and fill this place on that very service we had here. This nation is 1.4 billion people, and this one church wasn't enough. The entire journey that we had till now was only because God was equipping us to plant a church, to pastor, and to teach us how to multiply churches. So now we know without a doubt the call of God in our life is not only to pastor this church, but to multiply the work of God through the planting of churches across this nation.
You've heard a bit of our story, but the thing is, it's not just about us, because yes, we did come together with what we had, but from the moment that we started this work in Chennai, India, it's also been your story through your prayers, through your care, and of course through your generous financial giving to a people you've never met and perhaps a couple that you've never known. So together we just want to thank you from the bottom of our heart for what you have done in Chennai, for every child, for every family, for every person that has come here and seen their lives change. We want to thank you for what you've done and for everything that you have supported us with.
Friends, I want to invite you because there's a great opportunity to make a difference in the lives of people at this part of the world. God has blessed Canada with so much resources, and God has given India so many people that are waiting to be reached. So I want to ask you, come alongside, help us. Remember the $1.2 million loan I was talking to you about? That is down to $800,000 right now. Will you help us wipe that $800,000 loan this year so that every money we raise through tithes and offering from the local church and through other means will directly go to the work of God and will reach the people that are least reached and most vulnerable?